All right, welcome back to another episode of Man Cave Movie Night. We are back again. We skipped last week again. Thought maybe we were going to go on another 3-month break, but boy, were you wrong, because we're back after only 1 week. But to be fair, last week was Thanksgiving, so, you know, there's our excuse.
There was a
you
lot.
can take it or leave it. You don't have to like it, but you have to deal with
It's a fully formed excuse.
Yeah, I think we've decided every week of Thanksgiving we're not going to post an episode.
Yeah.
So we'll do every other week in the year, but just leave that 1 week
even Christmas?
out.
Christmas?
Yep.
No, we'll do an episode on Christmas.
Especially, we're going to do 2
yeah.
episodes on Christmas.
Yeah.
On Christmas Day, okay.
You know, we've had people complaining that some of our episodes are like an hour and a half. Get ready for 3 hours.
3
Get
hours
ready for the like Snyder cut
of
dude.
podcast
Man Cave
episodes.
episode.
Yeah, that'll be really fun.
And a lot of it's just going to be dead air.
Dead air.
Us thinking about our answers.
That'll be cool, because we'll have to be coming up with new questions on the fly too for new topics.
Yep.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of new topics, this is something we have almost never brushed on. I mean, only in passing, only in referencing, and that is anime. I mean, we're talking about Death Note specifically. Death Note the anime, not Death Note the film. In case you were confused, that's the one we're talking about. I have not seen the movie, but I've heard it is
So much better. It's so much better.
Oh, sorry, I've heard it's so much better. That's
so good.
Yeah. I always agree with whatever you guys say.
What my least favorite part of the anime is that it's all Japanese. Let's change that.
Yeah, my least favorite part
Make
of
it American, baby.
Yeah, and that it's animated. Let's
Yeah,
make
I
it
also
real.
don't like
people.
Make anime American again.
Finally. So with anime in general, one that we also have not talked about is Shingeki no Kyojin, which is Attack on Titan, which Niall and Jared have both watched in its entirety. I've watched the first few episodes.
Yes.
But you may be wondering, why does Lucas know what Attack on Titan is in Japanese? That seems really silly. And it is. So today we're going to play a little bit of a learning game and a little bit of a guessing game, because this is going to be learn that anime and guess what its name is in Japanese. So we already know Attack on Titan. We got Shingeki no Kyojin out of the way. The other one is Desu Noto, which is the one we're talking about today. Death Note. You know,
I think I
feel
could have guessed that.
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Yeah.
That one you probably could have guessed. Some of these you might be able to guess too. Others you might be completely in the dark. That'll be up in the air. We'll see.
I'm just worried that they're going to be anime that I haven't even heard of before.
They will be anime you have heard of, definitely. It's not just going to be some obscure...
Yeah,
You wouldn't even know what it's called in English. No, I would not do that to you anymore. Let me just look up a different list really quick.
Black and white wartime flashbacks to the Harry Potter episode.
Yeah, and whatever one last year, like highest movies of the year or something, and you guys were like, I don't know those
we
movies.
had no idea.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which is fine. These ones you will at least have heard of. So we'll start off with this one. Niall, you can go first. This one is One Pizu.
Okay, I think I know this one. This one is the One Piece.
That is correct. That is One Piece. One Pizu. Pretty straightforward.
One Pizu. That's
Oh
funny.
no.
This one is for you, Jared. You may have heard
Sometimes he
this.
gives one of us a softball.
And then the other one a
Yeah.
tough ball, a hard ball. This one you may have heard because sometimes it is colloquially referred to its Japanese name. That is Kimetsu no Yaiba. What anime is that?
Demon Slayer?
It certainly is. Well done.
That was
Look
not
at
going
us.
to be my guess, but
Look
you
at
nailed
us
it.
go. We're on a roll already. All right. This one might be a little bit easier too, but hey, here we go. Maybe Japanese isn't that tough to learn after all. Niall, we got Boku no Hero Academia.
Okay, gotcha. I thank you for shifting your pronunciation also.
You are very welcome.
For the words in there that were fully in English. It is My Hero Academia.
That is correct. Man, see, look at us go. Japanese isn't so tough.
I know that one off the dome, but I don't know any others.
Okay. Here, this one.
One Pizu.
Juan Pizu. For some reason, Kill Bill Volume 1 is on this top anime list I'm looking at.
It's one of my favorites.
Which is pretty silly. Okay. This one, Jared. Jojo no Kimyo Naboken.
We'll go JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
That is correct. Well done. Look at us. Look at you guys go. You know Japanese
Very
well enough
well
to
versed.
move
I
over
do
there.
like that at least one word is typically English.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Or a
one
name.
word is Japanese in the
Yeah.
English word. Or in the English title.
Yes.
One word is Japanese in the English word. That's good.
Yeah, and
Okay.
sometimes the Lego sets are...
Yeah, and sometimes, yeah, exactly. Not sometimes, every time. So this one might be a little bit tougher, but you have seen this, Niall, so I'll give you that. Hagane no Renku Jutsushi.
Jutsushi?
Let me say that again, because I think I botched it. Hagane no Renkin Jutsushi.
Because if jutsu is in there, it wouldn't be. Well, you know what? Actually, it might be. I'm going to go with. Oh, jutsu? That's art. It's Sword Art Online, isn't it?
It is not, but I love
Isn't
the...
jutsu like an art?
I have no clue. I don't know.
It
I'm
is.
just reading
I think
these.
it is. I thought I was there.
I wish I
man.
knew.
thought
That
I
would have
had
been
it.
pretty cool. That would have been pretty cool. Jared for the steal.
good guess.
You want to guess?
say
Hagane
one
no Renkin Jutsushi. I don't know if you've seen this one or not. It's very popular. It's on this popular list of popular animes, along
And
with
you
Kill
know
Bill.
that I've seen it?
I know that you've seen it.
Interesting.
Huh.
It's
I
rare that
don't
there's
know.
an
I'll
anime
go-
that I have definitely seen that we're not sure if Jared has seen.
Yeah, it's long, but that could be nothing.
Yeah,
But
we've all
But
seen
I don't
that.
I don't
scene in
recognize
Wayne's
any of
World.
those words. I don't think. Oh yeah, Wayne's World.
The subtitles don't match up with how long it takes to say it.
But it's a popular one. I'm gonna go Full Metal Alchemist Brother.
Oh, that is correct.
Nice.
Well done. I know for a
Nice.
fact you had seen this because we talked about it a couple days ago.
Yeah, we had just
Jared,
talked
have
about
you
it.
seen
I
this as
should
well?
have.
It's
Okay.
good. Yeah, it's really good.
Well, I
Yeah.
also we talked
It
about
is
Sword
very-
Art Online in that same conversation.
Yes, we did.
I think, which
We
is
did.
why. Dang it.
All right. Now we are back to Jared.
Let's do it.
This one is going to be fun.
For you to say or for me to
I don't
guess?
know.
Both.
Okay, great.
Just wait. Okay. Here we go. I can't even say it. It's so silly. Okay. Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. I want to take a stab at that one. I want to guess Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, that's right. The spelling is so funny too. It just caught
How
me
is it
off guard.
spelled?
Yeah.
Kauboi, and then
Cowboy.
and then Bibappu. Cowboy Bebop.
That is crazy.
And I assume there's a different pronunciation if you were to say it correctly in Japanese, but I don't know what it is. So Cowboy Bebop.
That's probably
Cowboy
pretty close.
Bebop.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop.
Hopefully pretty close.
Interesting.
Oh man, that
Man,
was
that is funny.
this was crazy too, man. It's kind of insane how similar a lot of these are. Okay, Here we go, Niall.
Man, that got some wheeze
That's
laughs out of
crazy.
me
I was
for the listener.
weeping.
It's just whatever it could have been. I was not expecting Cowboy Bebop.
Oh boy, Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop. Okay, here we go. This one, Niall, back to an easier one. Wanpon Man.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. This is a great one also. One Punch Man.
That is correct. Well done. Okay, let's. Man, Kill Bill Volume 2 is also on this list for some reason.
What is...
I don't know
Did they
why.
that's all
animate
that,
those at
actually.
any point?
There is an animated part in the first one.
Because I know they're very, heavily inspired by, the Japanese, like, fighting movies.
Yeah. Well, there's fully an animated sequence that's like anime in Kill Bill Volume 1. And it's awesome. That sequence is one of the most fun parts.
The animereview.com says, simple enough, Kill Bill Volume 1 is a live anime in many respects.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Okay.
So some live action
So
anime
is
are
Godzilla
good.
minus one, I think.
Maybe I'll need to watch those movies. Maybe I would like those more than other
You might. I like them a lot.
Tarantino movies.
I really like them. Okay, this one.
You said live action anime and my ears perked up like a Doberman.
And you're like, huh?
Because you're like,
Like,
Death Note.
Maybe
live
this
action was pretty
Tarantino
good.
guy isn't so bad after all.
Maybe he's pretty cool.
All live
This
action
one,
animes are good. So
yeah, that is.
True.
Yeah, they're already all good, so that's why he was so excited. This one is an easier one, and then we'll do two hard ones to top us off. All right, this one is Jared.
yes.
Sodo Atto on Rhine. That is.
Oh wow.
Sodo Auto on Rhine. It's what's that? Give Gav? Is that the name of the game?
Oh yeah.
Where it's
yeah.
like
This is very much like that. Like say it really fast and I think you'll have it.
Wait, say it
So,
again.
okay. Sodo Atto on Rain. Sorry, excuse me. I said it
Oh,
backwards.
Sword Art Online.
Exactly.
Dude, that is such one of those cards. Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
exactly.
Sword Art Online.
That's a fun game. That could be a fun game to play on a podcast.
That could.
Honestly, yeah. that's
Very
pretty-
sound based.
Yeah.
All right.
Next
Niall, here we go. Final question.
Didn't you say two? Oh, final question for Niall.
For you, yeah. I don't know if you've heard of this. These two are hard. They're both going to be hard. So this
You don't
one
know
is
if I've even heard of it.
this one is not going to be easy. Senen Kessenhen.
Senen Kessenhen?
Yep.
Okay. Senen Kessenhen. Could it be...
I would be shy. I have no clue. I'd never heard of this until this list. So
Well, I was going to guess something, and the only guess that I have... It would require that the name of it in English is not a direct translation.
I'm pretty sure it probably isn't. Based on my little to no knowledge about Japanese.
Okay, is it... I'm just thinking about like popular anime, things that would be on this list.
This is number 2 on this list also.
This is number
Whoa.
2 on the list as a
In the
whole.
world.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
It has a 9 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yikes. Then I don't know, man. I was going to guess Tokyo Ghoul, but now I'm not sure.
That is a good guess, but it is incorrect. Sorry, this is number 3 on this list. This is Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War.
Oh, so I know Bleach. I
So it's
wouldn't
not
have guessed
just Bleach.
I wouldn't have guessed the
1,000 Year
subtitle.
Blood War. I didn't
That's
know,
great.
is
That's
Bleach a
probably
separate...
like a certain... Well, Bleach is an anime, and it's kind of similar to One Piece. There's tons of it.
I
And
see.
so it's very possible that 1,000 Year Blood War is like an arc of it that they kind of like split apart into like its own show type beat.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Well,
But yeah,
I
Bleach,
wouldn't,
Bleach is one of those ones that everyone that watches it like loves it.
Yeah. I don't think I watched enough to really get into it.
I think if I just watched more, I've watched like 2 episodes in like junior high.
Yeah.
And I think if I just watched more, I would probably be way into Bleach.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. That
I
makes
think
sense.
the same about like I watched a handful of One Piece episodes.
Oh yeah.
There's no way I get into that.
There's just so much.
It's a mountain you have to climb, and it's not that good.
Yeah, and the mountain is still getting bigger.
Yeah, it is actively growing as you are climbing it.
Like these rocky mountains.
Like these ones,
facts.
exactly. Okay, here we go. Here we go, Jared.
Yeah.
This one is Kokako. No, excuse me. Kokaku Kidotai. I will say that again. Kokaku Kidotai. Kokaku Kidotai. Kokaku Kidotai. This one I had heard of. Obviously, I haven't seen it, but if I've heard of it, that means you've heard of it. And maybe even watched it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm certain. I don't know. I've never... I feel like there's no hints in this word.
Oh,
don't
I've
think
got
so.
a guess. I hope that you get it wrong so I can steal.
And
Well,
then
I
you'll
didn't
tie.
steal the Bleach one, so...
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I forgot. Sorry.
So it's just kind of like... It wouldn't count if you...
Well, I haven't had an opportunity to steal yet, so I
that's
feel like
because
it
I've
would
gotten
work
them
for me
all
to
right,
still have
pretty
one.
much. So. Kidatu...
Kokaku Kidotai.
Kokaku Kidotai.
Are you impressed with my memory, Lucas?
I am. I didn't even remember, and I have it written in front of me.
Kitashi.
I can give you a hint if you want.
What?
Yeah, I think I would like a hint.
What are you talking about here?
He
right.
told you what yours was rated. Yeah, give me the rating.
I can give you the rating. I was going to give you a different hint.
It's not going to help. It's going to be like 13th.
It is a movie,
Up out of here.
not a show.
Kidatu.
Up out of here, you
Kupato.
filth.
But it is...
What's the one that I watched? That's the one about the shooting star. Your Name. Final answer.
Oh, Your Name. Your Name. I've heard that's great, but that is incorrect.
I think that one's even called Your Name in Japanese.
It probably is.
It's
probably
possible,
called
based on what
Boku
we've
no
learned.
Your Name. Boku no
Name.
Name.
So, Niall, you can steal, but it won't count for points. Since Jared didn't get to steal the harder one. Not that he would have gotten it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All
I was
right,
thinking
well,
Bleach earlier, but I don't think I would have guessed Bleach for that.
Bleach 1,000 Year War, which I thought was
Yeah.
just a
It's
name.
a movie?
Yeah,
It's a movie, yeah.
Is it Berserk?
It is not. It is Ghost
there are-
in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. Nice. There are Berserk movies as well as Berserk series. And so
I see.
yeah.
No, I was not pulling
Worth
a
a
fast one.
shot.
All right, well, that was
All right,
fun.
well.
Now let's talk more about anime and Desunoto, which we learned is Death Note, along with
We'll be right back.
Can we
dozen
just
other
say
ones.
Death Note?
Yeah, we'll say Death Note.
Okay, good.
Cool.
And we're back to talk about Death Note and anime. This is something we've talked about. I feel like I committed to watching Death Note a while ago. I watched the first couple episodes with Niall. Man, probably a year and a half ago, maybe. Maybe not quite that long ago. But I watched the first couple episodes, and then it was like the show I was going to for a few weeks. But it was right as I was starting my job, and so I was watching it at work. And I was like, I can't be the guy watching anime on my phone. I just at work.
There was a guy today at work watching Attack on Titan on his phone. We
There
got
you go.
to chat about it for a
Yeah,
while.
there you go.
Nice.
You know, and you are really cool, and I'm sure that guy was cool, but I don't like. You know,
But you're not.
I'm not cool, and I don't want to attract cool people to talk to me about anime. That's just not something I have enough. Like, I don't want to incite a conversation
Yeah.
about anime because I don't know enough about it. That was the first time ever watching
Yeah.
anime. For me, like a show.
It's
at
like
least.
I've been playing fantasy football, and so I know like 4 player names. And then someone's like, "What do you think? Oh, do you know he's not quite as good as this other guy?" I'm like, "Couldn't tell you who
You're
that
like,
is,
yeah,
what
you're
team they
right."
play for, even if they're what position my guy is. I don't know. I just know the name."
Yeah, the extent of my knowledge ends with what's
Yeah.
on my phone and on my team.
It is.
The
yeah.
key to that situation, by the way, is if they ever bring up anyone that's better or worse or whatever, you just say, yeah, we'll see.
Fact. That's me wearing my Braves hat as well. That's a better example. They're like,
Yeah,
"Oh man,
yeah.
did you hear what's his name got injured?" I was like, "Totally."
Yeah.
Someone asked me if I will ever forgive this person in association with my Braves hat. They're like, "You're ever going to forgive this person?" And I said, I think I said we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
I guess
dude.
someone who was traded or something. I don't know.
Ultimate answer.
Because you don't want to be like, who? Because then they're going to be like, why are you wearing a Braves hat if you don't know every Braves
Exactly.
fact?
Ultimate
Yeah, it
answer
is
of
not.
uncertainty.
It's not.
It's like the Nirvana shirt. Like if a girl's wearing a Nirvana shirt and you go up to her and ask, name 3 Nirvana songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. And you don't want to be the guy at work
You don't-
watching anime. And
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
comes up and says, name 3 anime in
Name
Japanese.
3 anime in
Yeah.
Japanese. And I'm like, Shingeki no Kyojin, Desu Noto, and One Pan Man. And then his head explodes.
Yeah.
One
And he takes it
man.
back.
Yeah, and then he takes it back. So yeah, Death
So-
Note. That's the primary focus of what we're talking about, because that is my gateway into anime television. I've seen a lot of Ghibli movies, and Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is not. A lot of people don't count it. I don't really think it's fully anime because it's American, and I think anime is Japanese, especially in its like most fundamental form, which I learned is an adaptation of a manga, which I find fascinating for a visual medium to be pretty much exclusively dedicated to, adapting another medium, which is, pretty cool and also very, not, that's not an American thing at all. It's very Japanese, which is why I think it can be harder to get into anime if you're not Japanese or if you're not used to that. For me, at least, that's how it was, even with Death Note, which I really did enjoy for the most part. However,
Spoiler.
there's a lot of those anime isms that I was not accustomed to that you have to get used to. You have to be like, okay, well, this is anime, and
they're
here
gonna be
we
doing
go.
this the whole
And
time.
they're going to be doing this the whole time. So let's talk about Death Note at first. There's my general thoughts about anime, and not as much Death Note yet, but what do you guys think about Death Note? As true anime connoisseurs.
Yeah.
Anime
And
shirt
you wanna
owners,
add-
even.
That's true. Do you want to add maybe what got you into watching anime, or what you're like?
Yeah,
gateway
me?
in, and when Death Note kind of came into that for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to hear that.
So anime was a thing that I grew up with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z in the house. My older siblings really liked Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It was always like they were always watching it. It was kind of at a time where I don't think either of you have siblings that age that are like 10 and 7 years older
single
than
children.
you. But I like it was kind of a thing to like that stuff. Like Dragon Ball especially made its way into like American Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah. And so having siblings that age, that was a part of my house growing up. And so I kind of always knew about it. I think Avatar was probably like my first like real introduction where I actually followed the story and what was going on rather than just like, ooh, green guy with antennas shoot laser. And
Which is fun too.
Which is basically the
Yeah.
plot of Dragon Ball. But
Cool plot, though.
the first anime that I like dedicated myself to watching was actually Death Note.
Nice.
Like true anime. My brother and I remember we were like, oh, we've heard about this. We've heard it's really good. We went down to Rancheritos, or Beto's in Kaysville. Went down to Beto's. We got ourselves some burritos. I remember I got the chorizo burrito, and it was way too greasy. And by the end of it, I was basically drinking that burrito. But we watched the first like 6 episodes of Death Note. And from there, my brother and I watched the entire thing together.
That's fun.
It was amazing. And I remember I watched Death Note around the same time that I was watching Breaking Bad for the first time. And in my brain, I couldn't stop like comparing the two of basically just like, this pursuit between like evil and good and like you're technically following the antagonist and like all of these different things in there's very strained similarities between the two, and I just kind of remember thinking like, oh, anime can be like really really cool and like really good, and it doesn't have to be like crazy, mystical or like tons of superpowers or anything. Like Death Note, despite the presence of like demons in the underworld, compared to a lot of anime, is very grounded and kind of feels more like a story about people. And so, yeah, I loved it. From there, I watched the first 12 episodes of Sword Art Online and loved them, and then watched one more and was like, what's this? And then watched another one, and I was like, this is insane. And so I stopped with that, but I started watching a bunch, and I've loved basically everything I've watched, even though I have the terrible habit of basically never finishing any anime that I start. But every single one that I start, I love. So
Sweet.
And Death Note is amazing, and I love it, and I think that it's a wonderful place for people to start with anime, because it's digestible. There's like 35 episodes,
something like that,
which is very much on the lower end for a lot of anime. And so if you're trying to dip your toe in that pool without like needing to make a huge commitment to be able to finish a story, Death Note is a great place to go.
Sick. Yeah, not too similar or too dissimilar to you. I grew up watching some anime, not as much of like the shonen type shows that like Dragon Ball and stuff, but instead a lot of Pokemon.
Nice.
And then some like Bakugan when it was on, and we
Sick.
got Beyblades and stuff. Like I saw a handful of those shows. Didn't ever keep up with any of them except for Pokemon. Watched a ton of that because my brother and I loved those little mons.
Little green
those little
ghouls.
pocket monsters. And so we watched a lot of that. There was a certain point in my life, it was around high school, like junior high into high school, where I started wanting to be very intentional with what content I was consuming, specifically because I wanted to like be a part of a greater conversation, right? So when it came to music, I was like, well, yeah, like I want to, like when I remember choosing what music I would listen to, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to listen to classic rock. Like it was more an intentional like homework to start listening to it, build that foundation. And then I started dipping into other genres, and it's like, well, okay, rap, who should I know? And then I listened to those, and anime was something like that as well for me. And I was like, okay, I need to be a part of this conversation. Clearly there's a lot of shows there outside of Pokemon. So where to start? Dragon Ball Z, probably. And so I started watching Dragon Ball Z, did a couple arcs. It was fun, but the pacing sucked. And it was a bit boring at times. You'd have like a whole 4 episodes where they're just waiting for Goku to show up. Yeah. Or then the next 3 episodes is just Goku charging up his power, and it's like
that long, that many episodes.
It's like that's an exaggeration, but barely. And so I remember Niall showed me Naruto, and I'd heard so much about Naruto, and he's like, "Dude, check this fight out." And it was part of the tuning exams, and I was like, dude, okay. I was like, this is
so awesome.
Basically the cool stuff of Dragon Ball Z, but paced way better. And, just a lot more thought going into it. So then I switched to Naruto, watched all of it. I skipped a bunch of filler episodes because nobody's got time for that. It's like a 720 episode show or something like that. So I just crushed Naruto, and then I think after that was around the time I got into Death Note as my next one. So nice. I already had this like foundation of this is what anime is over here. It's the fighting, the dueling, of the tournament arcs. Basically every arc is like some sort of tournament, which these fighting animes have, right? You watch My Hero Academia, you watch Hunter x Hunter, you watch Dragon Ball, Naruto, whatever. Demon Slayer, it basically always starts with some sort of tournament or like test where they have to use their powers against each other. And it's a great way to showcase, but that's the anime I knew. And then switching over to Death Note opened this door of anime is just the medium of storytelling. It's not like a genre in and of itself. You have the fighting anime, like the action anime, but you also have the drama anime. Like this is a crime drama. That's all it is. There's some fantasy elements to it, but and then like Attack on Titan built on that. And now I start seeing it, and when someone's like, "Oh, I hate anime," I say, "Well, like that's kind of like saying you hate paintings. And I'm sure there's paintings you like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a medium. And
Yeah.
Of course, some of those stories have those anime-isms that are a bit much, but Death Note is one of those ones that, besides like one character, who's a very girly character,
Yeah.
you know?
Misa.
Like it's Misa. It doesn't feel like incredibly anime to me, which is like in the negative connotation ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Which
Anyway.
is helpful as a good stepping stone, which I think is a good segue into my question, which is,
Segu.
you know, Death Note is,
Sure.
I think Death Note is the highest rated anime on IMDb. And
Death Note?
Death Note, I'm pretty dang sure.
I bet Cowboy Bebop's better.
It's one of the highest.
But it's one of the best.
There was a while where, if my memory serves me correctly, Death Note was like 10 for all shows on
Wow.
on
Wow.
IMDb.
I did not know that.
Top 250 TV shows. Yeah, let's. I'm gonna check right now. Number 7 is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Wait.
Right. Dude, imagine making a show on like a kids channel
On
The
Nickelodeon.
7.
on Nickelodeon,
Well,
and
it's
it's
like Breaking
number
Bad.
7 best show ever
Game
made.
of Thrones or whatever.
Bluey is number 14 on that list. So
Nice, dude.
That's kinda
Bluey
wild.
rips.
I've
I don't know if
never
you've watched
seen-
a lot of Bluey, but it's incredible.
It's really
Okay, it looks like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is now the top-rated Japanese anime at number
good. That
16,
makes sense.
and Death Note is taking longer than I
Not on the-
anticipated.
not on the list.
Not on the- oh, it's
Yeah.
number 36. Okay, it's number 36. So other ones above it, other anime, are Hunter x Hunter, and
Probably,
then
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Attack
no
on Titan
Cowboy
is number
Bebop?
23. Cowboy Bebop doesn't look like it's above it.
I just remember, I feel like it had like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe that's
Cowboy Bebop is number 42.
That was the live action. That was the live action.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not.
Number 42 with 8.9 overall rating.
Okay, all right.
So,
So it's one of
pretty
these,
good.
one of the best.
Yeah.
As far as
IMDb
IMDb says.
generally... Well, Taskmaster is number 49. That's kind of fun.
That's dope.
I didn't realize that.
That's very cool.
But yeah, so Death Note, super popular. It basically was my point with that. But my other side of that is Death Note, as Niall said, was the first anime he watched. It's the first anime that I have now watched. So if not Death Note, as one that is frequently recommended as a first anime to watch, which would you recommend for people to watch that?
Whew.
Wow.
As a good
It's-
stepping
it's
stone
good.
into the genre that people like myself or others listening may not be very familiar with the medium. Maybe they say
Yeah.
they don't like paintings because they've never been to a museum.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
man.
But when your friends
Sweet.
are always like, you should really, just go to a museum
Yeah.
like once.
Well, and then
honestly,
you take
just
them to a
look at
museum,
this-
and then they're like, I don't even know if I even like museums.
Yeah. Well, and it'd be hard if it's like, yeah, go to John T. McBrierson's museum off of 45th and 8th. You'll love it. And it's like, huh? What's that?
There's more than one museum.
And it's the craziest like modern art of like poopy like whatever's on a canvas. And you're like, this is painting.
Poopy whatevers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you got to recommend
I've seen
the
those.
Met
Yeah.
and say, go look at Van Gogh. And you're like, oh.
Go look at Van Gogh in the room
paintings.
right next to Poopy whatevers.
Yeah.
Dangling from
Next
the ceiling.
door. Yeah. Just don't go into certain
Dude,
rooms.
the Met is a crazy, very crazy experience of like Starry Night is there, and then also like plungers with nails hammered through them, and you're like, what is this supposed to be?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's the MoMA.
You're right. You're right. I'm an idiot.
Although
the MoMA has Starry Night.
Yeah, MoMA has Starry Night.
Okay,
It
that's
used to be at
one
the
I was
Met, but
thinking
it's
of.
now at the
That's the
MoMA.
one I was thinking of. Anyway, I would say it depends on the audience
On
because
the
Death Note, I
individual.
feel like Death Note it's not too much, like in terms of content. That's why I like it's short and content wise, it's not like super intense, but it's also like it's gripping.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I go to it. I would say the next one I would recommend is Attack on Titan because it's also not huge.
It's like a normal show. It's like a normal American show.
Yeah, it's like it's like the length of any other show
4
that you would
seasons,
dedicate yourself to.
And especially now that it's finished, like with the
Now that it's finished, yeah. But
really...
the problem is, Attack on Titan can be heavy. Attack on Titan is not like a casual watch, like turn it on and just have a good time. There are certain sequences that, like, I remember even in 2D animation, I was like rattled by the end of the episode just because of how much like the imagery of what was going on impacted me, or just like the absolute depth of the moment at that time. It's a lot. So I don't know if that would be the show that I would like. It depends on the person. If it's a person who I know they're going to enjoy that, Attack on Titan, I would say go to before even Death Note, because it also feels a little less like the cadence of an anime, you know? It feels like it kind of blends the cultures of anime storytelling with more like American television storytelling sensibilities.
I agree.
So
from what I've seen so far.
Yeah. So honestly, Attack on Titan is the one.
There's your boy.
However, I would say that if it were someone else, I would probably recommend something more like Sword Art Online, the first little bit of that, just because the idea of it is so creative, and it's 12 episodes before you're like, nope, bail, hit the eject button.
Yeah, if you like a doctor prescribes, say this is your dosage, just take this, and then we'll see how you feel.
Yeah,
maybe we'll move you on to different medication.
Go to other medicine, and then come back to this one once you understand how medicine works. That's what I would say, because there's some stuff midway through that first season where I truly, as a child who just finished Death Note and wanted to watch an anime by himself, started Sword Art Online, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then it got to a certain point and I was like, I don't want my parents to know that I've ever seen this. But it's a fun concept, and it's a light watch. It is one that I wish would have been the entire premise of the show, but the premise of the show ends 12 episodes in and starts being something else. So, but yeah, Attack on Titan is the official answer.
The official recommendation
next to it,
other than Death
maybe
Note.
Sword Art or something light like that.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. I think Attack on Titan has always been such an easy go-to for me to, pitch to someone. Obviously, like Niall was saying, the content is pretty heavy. It's very violent. It's pretty bloody, stuff like that. And I know that doesn't appeal to a lot of people. But
I think there were even like some F words in the 4th season, which I was like, wow,
yeah, if you get
I didn't
to the
know
4th
you could
season,
even
I think
do
you can
that.
manage a couple of those.
Yeah, no. But I was just saying, like,
say.
I don't know if I've ever heard that in an anime just because of like translation stuff at most.
I guess if it's already TVMA.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe they're like, all right,
it surprised me.
Let's throw it in. But my other one that is probably my favorite anime that I have recommended to people, and they typically really like it, is Hunter x Hunter. This is a show, basically it's just a couple of individuals who go to take something called the Hunter exam, and it basically is a license that shows that you're skilled enough in your craft that allows you to, it like opens the doors to a bunch of things all around the world. So maybe you want to be a treasure hunter, and you know, like this gives you access to libraries and stuff where you get more knowledge. Maybe you just want to be the best fighter in the world. Well, having this helps prove that you are. So everyone's motivations are very different, but they're all going to the same place. And it's the magic system. We've talked about it on our magic systems episode, but it's the best there is. And the characters are very endearing. and there's only one creepy clown character who likes kids. But
Nice.
That's good.
overall, I feel like the anime-isms are honestly just cute. It's just like, oh, it's kind of like charming. It's not.
kind of nice.
More
Yeah.
endearing and less annoying.
Yeah, it's and less annoying.
That's
Exactly. It's
nice.
not Sakura in Naruto, with her.
Yeah.
Cha!
Going into her
Yeah.
angry form with the little chibi version of herself.
Yeah.
It's all pissed off.
Yeah, it's just cute little Gon and Killua
Yeah.
just hanging out. So anyway, that's a good one. It's not very cringe. Great magic system, and has the tournament style that I like a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And my recommendation as guy who's only seen Death Note is Miyazaki Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
Because that's all I had seen previously. And those don't really have any animeisms at all. I mean, other than the art style, but in terms of some of the
Hyper explanation.
hyper explanation or just kind of misogyny and violence. Violence to an extent,
yeah.
but depending on which Ghibli movie you're watching. But something like Princess Mononoke or Spirited Away or even like stuff like Ponyo is just super accessible and
It's high art.
yeah, that's go to the Louvre. The Louvre is the painting's equivalent probably of anime. I mean, people.
Yeah, but I don't like
in general.
I don't like museums.
Yeah, so you don't like museums though, but if you did like them, you should watch Ghibli.
Okay.
Like Boy and the Heron, even the most recent one. I loved that. I thought that was really
I
awesome.
loved it too. I want to rewatch that. I feel like I would like it more.
I
on a
agree.
Rewatch.
I think it's a little bit deeper than I'm smart enough to understand on a first watch.
Yeah. Yeah. me
There's
too.
probably a lot of subtext that just went whoosh, right over my head. But it was beautiful, well animated, really classic Ghibli stuff that I loved. So yeah, that's my question. Intro to anime kind of stuff, and yeah.
Great. Very cool. Well, I want to talk about Death Note specifically.
Yeah, maybe
Let's
hear it
I'll ask
for a little
my
while.
question.
Oh,
do
maybe
it.
you will.
Let's hear your question.
This show is filled with highlights and lowlights and characters upping each other all
Yes,
the
it is.
time and subverting your expectations. And so let's get into some spoilers. It's only 35 episodes, so whatever, go watch it. What was the highlight moment for you, and maybe what was the low light moment for you? Right,
Great question.
What was one of this time when your expectations were subverted, or like they pull a L or Light pulls a great maneuver or something, and it's just super exciting? And then what was a moment that just kind of fell flat or that you didn't love? This way we kind of cover a lot of the show, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
Certainly.
For me, a highlight, always a highlight, is when L shows up at Light's like school, basically like that graduation ceremony for the first time, and they both. It's early in the show. It's like 10 episodes in. But they both like immediately know that the other is who they think it is, but they have to act like they don't. And at this point, I guess Elle is still saying like it's only a, chance, whatever. But it's just such a bold move. And immediately, like, that's at the point where every episode they find a way to raise the stakes even more. And it's just like gets more and more intense every time. And then it's like, okay, now they're talking to each other face to face every episode. But like the rules of the Death Note make it so like frustrating, basically, that it's like, okay, nothing can happen here. And it's a very interesting dynamic. And I love any time that they spend together, but especially that first time when they're put together. And like even dumb stuff like the tennis scene, which I think is in that same episode.
I like that.
Where they play tennis with each other. And I liked it too, because it's like they're just analyzing everything of like, okay, if I win, is he going to think that I'm like being too aggressive and I need to prove something? And does that tip my hand? And it's just so cool. So that episode is a highlight for me. And then low light is basically like the episode after Elle dies.
Yeah.
when it like introduces the like Near and Mellow, and you're just kind of like, it's gonna take a lot for me to start caring about these guys.
These characters who have not been present the whole show.
Yeah, because Elle was amazing.
Yeah.
And now I'm just kind of like, okay, these are going to be the main antagonists going into the end of the show.
Yeah.
Like, I got to start caring about them quick because there's not a whole lot of episodes left.
And honestly, Nier is basically like the same character in a lot of ways as Elle.
Totally.
And so it's kind of like, hey, remember that character you loved? Here's a worse version.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So
yeah, that's a little bit of a frustrating part, but I think even given that frustrating element, by the end of it, you're impressed enough with Nier that you're kind of like, all right, cool. Like, by that last episode, you're like, I guess maybe it's just because I like had to tell myself like, all right, like get used to it. This is what it is. But by the end of it, I was like, okay, Nier's also really sick. They give him a couple of moments to like really shine where like he puts everybody in the riot armor and like they have that riot so that they can get out without showing their faces. And
that was cool.
And like it's he's got some really cool like ideas that he puts through that kind of sway you to his side, but it's just kind of not enough time. And when they're introduced at first, you're like, come on, like
why is the show still going even? Why not just conclude? Well, how does Elle die again? I remember that episode, and I don't remember exactly how he dies.
He basically Light makes it so that Misa will die if Misa's Shinigami doesn't kill Elle.
Yes.
Misa's Shinigami is like so whipped for Misa that she breaks all of the Shinigami rules to kill Elle early.
Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah, which is a sick way for him to die. Like,
it's really cool.
It is a really cool way for Light to, come up with another classic plan and hit him with a
without taking the Shinigami eyes, which I love.
Exactly.
That he swears to himself, I'm never going to do this, and even to the very end, he doesn't ever do it.
He does not.
So cool.
I agree. Yeah, for me, I think the part of the show that I really liked the most was like the first 10 or 12 episodes when it's really kind of introducing the concept and Light and Elle are really at odds with each other and they haven't really met or had any back and forth yet, pretty much up until he makes himself forget he's Kira. Like that first arc is really really awesome. Yeah, and then that stuff I do like as well, but I think the first part really, and specifically when he's on the train with the FBI guy that he kills, and the FBI guy is figuring it out as he's dying that it is Light Yagami, but it doesn't matter because he was just murdered. And Light is just like, hey, got him, and just zips away on the subway. Like, that stuff I thought was so awesome. Really, really interesting, really well executed. And then, same as Niall, like, I just did not care about I didn't even force myself to try, I was finishing it, but I was just like, man, they have their cool moments, but why not either make it so Elle got out of it, because the whole show basically, which is another one of my critiques is Elle and Light are both great at coming up with plans, and they're both great at getting out of them too, out of the other person's, and there's just this level of, and maybe it's because there's constant narration from either character, and so exactly what they're thinking at all times. And so what either plan is, and that they're both immediately figuring them out. And there's a level of that where it's like, yeah, it's cool that they can, that their intelligence is reflected by being immediately able to outwit the other one and vice versa. And they're kind of at odds with each other. But there was also a level where it's like, come on, really? Every single time they're going to figure it out, without exception. Even at the end when he does die, it's like, yeah, he kind of figured it out, but he just couldn't do anything about it. He just had to deal with it. So it's like, well, either Elle or Light dying. I don't know. That level of it, those would be my biggest critiques of the show in general, would be the constant narration, which I don't know if that's a thing in anime in general. Just lots of exposition.
It kind of a lot of exposition, it kind of varies from show to show based on like either who the audience is or what they're trying to convey about the characters.
Yeah.
And so in like kids, like in Dragon Ball and like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, there's tons of explanation so that kids
can get it. Yeah, and that's totally fair.
Where with Death Note, there's a lot of explanation to show you that the characters have thought of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I get that that's what it was. Well, that was one thing already, even just from watching the few episodes of Attack on Titan that I have. It doesn't have that very much at all. Like, it has a normal, appropriate amount of exposition that a show should have.
Yeah.
It was not like...
Still got some character quirks of, like,
of
restating their purpose, basically.
Totally.
Every episode.
I will kill every Titan there is.
Exactly.
But that is much more palatable than, like, this whole huge, like... And so...
4 monologues an episode.
That was the other part of just the... Death Note and you know, I don't know how much anime in general this, again, just because this is my only venture into TV anime, where I was just like very caught off guard and very distracted by that pretty constantly. And then the other thing with this specifically was just being kind of frustrated, like, okay, like, can at least some of these plans at least like happen, even if they don't go fully through?
Yeah.
And they do, but it's
all
like
of them get
they're
to
constantly
step
thwarted.
1.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, figured it out, stopped it. It's like, but the stuff at the beginning where I love how L was able to figure out that Light was in Japan and all this stuff just based on these context clues. And then he got him with the freaking recording or the broadcast or whatever it was. He was like,
broadcast
I knew you were here because I only did it in a small
Tokyo,
area.
I know where in Tokyo.
Where in Tokyo, exactly.
Like,
and I know you're
really
probably
smart.
related to a cop, like or are a cop, and like all that stuff. I was like, that is pretty sick that he was able to basically see, only Japanese criminals have died so far, so that's a pretty good indicator. Like all that stuff was very cool, and then their dynamic was definitely my favorite of the show. But then specifically, I don't know, like the very last episode, I feel like it would have just been more satisfying if L would have been the one to be able to get Light. It's nice that one of them got the other, and it's kind of cool that we got more of the show. I would have not complained if Light would have just won, and it's like, all right, cool, he beat L, and now he's just gonna be the god of the new world as Kira, and you just kind of have to headcanon your own way into thinking what could happen with that. But that's not how it ends. It ends with him dying, which is fine as well. But I just like, it's the same thing with, I don't even remember the kids' names.
Nier and Mello.
Nier. Nier, it's like, Light got him, and he fully reveals himself, and then it's like, just kidding. And then it's like, it goes back and forth like 3 times in those last few episodes, where I'm like, okay, like, you gotta just not do
Just
that
land.
for
Just
just
end it.
end it.
Land. Go to land and then invert the bird
then-
and then invert it again.
Exactly. That's a perfect analogy. And so it's like, okay, it does finally land where Light is beat and there's nothing he can do about it and he loses. But the pathway to get there, I was just like, come on. I personally, I would have loved to have seen Light win in the end, because that's the protagonist and that's the guy we're rooting for. More so than like a Breaking Bad Walter White type guy. It's like, that show starts with, hey, Walt, I guess spoilers for Breaking Bad.
For episode 1 of Breaking Bad.
Well, you have
It's
cancer.
gonna get to
You're
that,
dying soon. So it's like already in your mind, you're like, Walter will die
His
soon.
loss is
That is an absolute guarantee. It is happening. Probably, that's how the show
near
ends.
the end of the show.
Yeah, exactly. So from cancer or whatever, and so that is just in the back of your mind. That's the expectation. With this, Light is a kid. He's in high school, and he's like, here's what I want to do. I want to kill all bad guys, basically. And so that doesn't necessarily...
that becomes your expectation for the show a little bit.
Yeah. And it's not as much, this has to end with him dying necessarily. Because, again, I mean, maybe anime... my expectations for how this could go were not totally... We're all over. I was like, it could end with Light just like winning and like doing whatever, and I would have preferred that personally. But at the end of the day, him dying is fine. It's not my favorite ending to a show ever, but whatever. It is what it is. And that's my thoughts on Death Note and my favorites and least favorites.
I like both of those. I think my least favorite is the same, right? That same kind of transition is just rough for me. And I kind of lose a lot of momentum.
And it comes with a weird time jump that is hard to keep.
Yeah, that too. I totally forgot about that.
It skips ahead like a couple of years, but like not enough for it to like feel like there's a huge time jump.
Yeah.
But enough that there is, and
that
it's just
there is,
weird to follow. Sorry, not to interrupt.
No, that's a great
interrupt.
point as well. So I'm gonna say my other low point, and you guys might disagree with this, but when the theme song changes. I love the first theme song. I don't like the second theme song. Yeah, I like it.
So sick. And then it just turns to thrash metal.
Thrash metal, yeah. It's fine.
Which is, I think it's fun, but it's not, no one knows how that second theme goes.
No. Yeah, it's not, I mean, I could
just kind of
iconic.
Noise.
I always skip both of them. I would.
Shame.
I know.
Shame.
Sorry.
I don't skip them. I gotta watch Light bite the apple in time with the snare drum.
Yeah. That is cool. They're cool. I watched it a couple times. I didn't skip it every time. I
think I forced you to watch it every time I watched an episode.
Yeah, with me. Yeah.
So.
As you should.
Same with Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, don't.
There's
some I think you can skip later, but the first several seasons, dude, watch them.
So good.
My favorite part, and I think probably the best episode in the show, is, and I'm forgetting a lot of details, so you might have to help me out. I watched this years ago, like 6 years ago.
I have a guess of what you're going to say.
But after he kills all the FBI agents, there's the wife of an FBI agent who decides to do her own investigation.
Yeah.
And there's just like her and Light walk together in the rain. That's what I remember. Yeah. And she's kind of like figuring stuff out, and he's trying to like figure out her name.
Oh,
gives, like,
yeah.
Or something. And just that whole scene from start, where they start it and where they end it, is such a good journey and such a well-written episode. And it ends with a bang. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's tough.
Totally.
So sad.
And it's very sad. And you're seeing, this anti-hero that you're following
do something just purely villainous.
Yeah. Fully, it's like she's not. He just kills her at that point to protect himself.
Exactly. So I think it's such a really powerful episode, and it's my favorite. Obviously, there's a lot of good stuff with Elle and the big climaxes and stuff, but that just interaction, I think, is a perfect example of what this show is. So
totally
real. What you said.
Her name's
real.
Naomi, I think.
Nice.
Because I looked it up earlier.
Nice.
Oh, very
there you
good. Go. Okay, my question. We're pretty much near the end of the episode right now, so we'll maybe quick lightning round this one a little bit.
Lightning round.
But so the live adaptation is bad. One of
a subject for debate.
The
topic of debate.
So frustrating. If Netflix or whoever approached you and said, "We're adapting it again, and you are in charge. We're adapting the Death Note IP
in live action,"
how would you do it? Yeah, in live action. How would you do it? And that's all they say. It's not necessarily movie, TV show. Like, you've got a lot of creative liberties.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a stage play. That's
nice.
A recording.
Dude,
Wow.
that's sick.
I'll maybe keep Willem Dafoe because he's
totally
the Shinigami.
Perfect. I looked up some scenes to show Lucas just him being Ryuk.
He's really
it was good. It was really good. I was like, wow.
Awesome. The rest of the movie's so bad.
But there will be a lot of soliloquies and stuff. It's condensing the story down into like max 3 hours. So you're really only getting the good juicy bits. But again, like a movie's already like
3
hours, you know?
Yeah.
So add a little extra time. You're going to have, when they have the internal monologues, they just turn out to the audience.
And yap.
And you have like a David Tennant type character talking about what they're going to do. And you're like, all right,
Yeah.
that's pretty sick.
Very. And it's British,
That's
so it's British
And
then?
it's British. It is British.
Nice.
British.
American didn't work, and we already have a good Japanese one.
So,
let's do a
Britain
British
it
one.
is.
Yeah,
I dig.
that's my.
That's sick. Yeah, first of all, I'd say thank you, Netflix, for trusting me with Desu Noto.
Good,
And then I would
good.
say, obviously, bringing back Willem Dafoe, because his voice is just so great. And again, all I've seen of that movie are the Willem Dafoe scenes, and they were great.
So in your
in
mind,
my
that movie can
mind,
exist
that
as a good
movie
movie.
can exist as So I would make it a miniseries. And I would say, hey, Netflix, thank you. We're taking this to HBO. Appreciate it. But you already messed it up once. HBO limited 8-episode miniseries. Willem Dafoe is the main character. Honestly, you could even bring Lakeith Stanfield back. He's a great actor. Too old though. I mean, if we're doing high school, we'll do younger people. But if we do
school,
college
early
or
college,
early
yeah.
college, yeah, he's too old for that now. But
Tom Holland.
yeah, and then just say let's make this like The
Holland as
Sopranos or The Penguin, which I haven't watched yet, but I assume is really good crime gangster
really
type
good.
stuff. And so just say, hey, we're making this grounded. We are making this. We're making this in the American format of storytelling, where there's not going to be intense narration. There will be some, the story kind of requires it, and it's not gonna. It's just gonna be the story of Light and L. We're not gonna go beyond that. It's gonna end with. Let's say it ends with L defeating Light, as maybe it should have in the anime as well. So Light still is defeated. Maybe he doesn't die at the end. I think honestly it would be more torturous for him to be in prison than to die, because death is
Yeah.
kind of like a nice release. But there's also that kind of little thing in the show as well where it talks about Ryuk is like, I said it was going to end with us dying, or blah, 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 whatever, that whole thing. So
Yeah.
there's that level of it that's cool with that element. But yeah, that's kind of my pitch. Grounded HBO series made like The Sopranos and other, like True Detective even, I think would be a better example of just like very interesting mystery elements to it. They definitely are foiling each other, but it's very much an interesting. And then it ends with L defeating Light and Light getting in prison. I'm committing to that piece of it now. But
Nice.
Ryuk is still with him, but he just doesn't have the Death Note, so he can't do anything about anything. But he's still got his companion just kind of like there, present. And it's British as well.
Yeah, of course.
Great.
So we got the British accents,
So
except for Willem Dafoe.
there's some similarities there with what I was going to say, which is also miniseries,
Nice,
also
nice.
ideally HBO.
Yeah.
Or actually, maybe not even a miniseries. You know what? I'm changing it. Not a miniseries. Now, it's a
Multi-season.
show, multi-season.
Nice.
But what we're doing is we are not touching the Death Note storyline. We're touching the Death Note premise, and we're taking
see.
it
Cool.
like
Better idea,
basically long prequel set in like medieval Europe or something like
interesting.
that.
Like
Wow.
England.
Well, like England, so definitely British
Still
accents,
British.
except for Willem Dafoe, who will
Yeah.
be
Who will
Ryuk
return as
because,
Ryuk, yeah.
because Ryuk is an infinite immortal being.
Yeah. And
Uh,
all
he was
infinite
around-
immortal beings are
He was
American.
around back then
And
too.
they all talk like Willem Dafoe.
And he basically, the idea would be almost kind of like a Game of Thrones type thing, where maybe the noble houses are like open about the fact that like, well, I have the Death Note, so like don't mess with
Yeah,
us,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And I'll
like,
prove
the
it
whole
works.
the whole thing, rather than being like a battle of wits, could be more like a grab for power kind of
Yeah.
Game
Nice.
of Thrones
That
style.
could be sick.
Like
Yeah,
over
and you have-
the Death Note.
You have a Jon Snow type character who you
Yeah.
don't know the true last name of, and
Yeah.
like they're
There you go.
can't
Yeah.
kill them
Super
with the
cool.
Death
He
Note.
can't be killed because nobody knows who he
Because
is.
Snow
Yeah.
isn't allowed.
And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's. I feel like there's a lot that you could do with it, and also like the idea of the Death Note just kind of feels like it fits into like old fantasy type settings.
Yeah.
Like it if that showed up in like Game of Thrones, that somebody has a book that whoever's name you write in it would die, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that fits in Game of Thrones, you know, like it kind of has that old, weird, dark, twisted fantasy feel. So I say just go for it and put it into maybe like actual world history, but with that kind of old witchcrafty type vibe could be really, really cool.
Yeah, that would be sick. It is a great premise, honestly. Like, and it can absolutely be adapted into different scenarios like that very effectively. Yeah. And with that, especially like there's no TV or internet or anything, so you can't just be like, oh, hey, look, there's a list of criminals and their faces.
You have to like meet people.
You have to meet people, and they have to tell you truly what their name is in order for it to be effective. Yeah. So you can't just be like, oh, well, look at me now.
And if it's common knowledge that it exists, people are going to be really guarded about like, all of that stuff. So it could be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Cool. Awesome. Well, I love that. Those are some great ideas. Three great interpretations.
3 perfect interpretations.
HBO and Netflix, reach out whenever you want. We're willing and happy to work on that.
Or Tubi. I'll do it as a Tubi original.
Or Quibi. Bring back Quibi.
Or Doo-Doo or Pee.
I'm realizing maybe we didn't tell our audience what Death Note is about, and we just kind of
if they're this far in.
If they're listening to Death Note, they know.
Yeah, I don't think I'm like we're not doing it now.
Okay, hey guys, just let's insert this part earlier into the episode and explain the premise of Death Note. Just Google what is Death Note.
Yeah, Google Death Note premise.
Death Note premise, and it'll probably do a great job in 2 or 3 sentences. And you'll be like, oh, okay. And then take this memory that you now have and insert it earlier into the episode so you have better context.
Move it back in the Adobe
rest
Premiere timeline.
Exactly.
All of this happened after you read what you just looked up.
Yep, perfect. Anyway, well, hey, thanks for listening. We'll continue recording as best we can. We are getting into the holidays, so it might be a little bit consistent. So I don't want to fully commit to every week. But
more consistent than
3 hours.
Certainly more consistent than it was between September and November. But we're here and we love you. Thank you for listening. And anime and Bazinga and bye Bazinga.
We'll see you on another Man Cave Movie Night.
Yeah, and that too. Bye.